to reason. Will you open your eyes? It's a wonder what you'll find with an open mind. You may be surprised. Yeah, gotta get away from this illusion. For the sake of the world, this delusion. It's gotta go.
Hello everyone, welcome again to the Atheist Experience. I'm your host, Russell Glasser, and today with me is Tracy Harris.
Howdy.
This is Sunday, December 8th, 2013. We're a live call-in public access television show based in Austin, Texas, dedicated to the promotion of separation of church and state and positive atheism. We are also available through live streaming video at ustream.tv. The official Atheist Experience website is www.atheist-experience.com. You can check us out after the show's over on blip.tv or YouTube and give feedback at the official TV show blog, freethoughtblogs.com/AXP. You can also email us at tv@atheist-community.org. If you enjoy the show today, you can also check out our related broadcasts, The Nonprofits and Godless Bitches. You can find links at the Atheist Experience website. The next Nonprofits is scheduled for December 18th. As always, the cast and crew of the show will be meeting up after the show at Threadgills, and the address is 301 West Riverside Drive in South Austin, arriving at around 6 p.m. So what's on your mind today, Tracy?
The holidays.
Oh, the holidays.
The holidays and all those holiday movies.
I hadn't noticed.
You hadn't. How did you miss it?
I don't know. It was just like, no, I've noticed it because people like to talk about it. Yes.
They do. There's the special holiday candy, and you got your special holiday movies, and all the, and that was what I wanted to discuss, I guess, today, is one particular film. And I want to thank Greg and Chip.
Is it National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation?
No, we're thanking Greg and Chip for reminding me about my rant on the Polar Express. So I want to talk about Polar Express today. It's interestingly, one of the supporting characters presents a situation which is analogous to Problem of Evil.
Okay. Do you want to run through the plot real quick?
Yeah,
I mean, there may be people who haven't
the main plot
seen...
actually isn't even, I guess, relevant to this little section of it. But in essence, try to do this without handing out too many spoilers. But I guess heads up, there probably will be spoilers. And if you have believing children in holiday narratives, heads up, because there may be spoilers.
Yeah, if you want kids to preserve their illusions, you probably should not let them watch this show in general.
Keep them away from
saying.
me. So, so the idea is that there's this, the main character in it has this issue where he wants to hear these magic Christmas bells, and you can only hear them if you believe in Santa. So he can't hear the magic Christmas bells, and everyone else can, his little sister can hear them, or something like that, I don't know. But one night, he gets on a magical train that runs through his backyard, and it's like this humongous, crazy steam train that's, inhabited by a ton of Tom Hanks characters. And he gets onto the train, and there are other characters on the train. So you've got like a few other characters, and there's one in particular is a little girl. I don't even know that she has a name. But she's just this girl. I think she's even referred to as girl in one of the articles that I looked up. There's the girl and the boy are like the main characters, and this little girl is, I would say she's if there were evangelical Santa believers, she would be one. And so she is like a very much the fundamentalist Santa believer. If she's just on her way to youth pastor for Santa. And so she's just this, cute as a button little girl, braided little hair. She's got her, you can tell mom did a real good job on her hair there. She's got the clean little nightshirt with the little prints on it, and just very adorably dressed and, ready for Christmas Eve. And clearly a child who is well cared for and has nice things in life. And then there's a point where the train goes on to its last stop. And I think that's kind of significant that it's the final stop for the train. So the very last place this train stops.
Final destination,
Yeah.
the Christmas edition.
The last stop for the train is this, what I'm going to call like a pretty destitute part of the town. So they stop the train, you know, after they pick up all the wealthy, well-to-do, nicely dressed, happy children, then they go to like the wrong side of town and pick up this one little boy who, his house is very, very dingy looking, very dark. There's no Christmas lights, there's no holiday cheer, there's nothing warm, there's no fire going on. There is like nothing in that house. And even the house itself kind of looks dank and dirty, and it's just not good. And the little child is in a similarly presented, oversized kind of hand-me-down nightshirt that he stands in with his oversized galoshes, and he doesn't want to get on the train, and eventually he does get on the train. He gets on the train where he is kept on the last car of the train by himself. So he's like in the back of the train, where I guess that's...
Is he the Agent Scully?
Economic class?
Is he like hidden from the magic stuff
No, I mean
going on in the
main,
rest of the train?
The main character actually is the I guess the person who's questioning.
Okay.
But
yeah.
he's not who I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about them writing in this little character who is clearly from an economically challenged family in an economically challenged neighborhood who doesn't have the finer things in life.
Mm-hmm.
And the issue that I have with this little boy is that he goes into the category of non-believer, which is not looked at as good in the film.
Okay.
So
he's a outright Santa-ist.
Right. Now, he's not obnoxious. He's not outspoken. In fact, he's quite quiet. So the little boy is very quiet. He's very humble. He keeps to himself. He's shy. I would even call him shy. But he doesn't believe. And the main reason he doesn't believe is because Santa never comes to his house ever. And we who are in the know
right.
understand why Santa doesn't come to poor children's homes at Christmas, right? I mean, we understand.
Well, I mean, in the real universe, it's because parents can't afford to buy the presents,
Right.
and there is no Santa.
Right.
But in Polar Express, there is a Santa, right?
Yes.
So that's not the reason.
Correct. So what you're saying is correct. So in the real world, you see huge disparity in how Santa doles out the gifts with children who have families that can afford to already give them everything they want. Santa seems to bring them everything they want. And little children who are in families who, that can't give them everything that they want and maybe nothing that they want, Santa seems to not show up as much. And that's a little bit skewed because Santa is supposed to be the spirit of generosity and the magical thing that can go all around the world giving gifts to everyone. And so when
This movie does sound a lot like Santa apologetics. They're coming up with ad hoc reasons to explain stuff that, for all appearances, makes it look indistinguishable from a universe where there was no Santa.
Well, to this little boy, it is like a universe without a Santa.
Sure.
I mean, we were talking before the show, and I was saying, even though he doesn't believe at this age, the reason is, at every past age, he's never gotten a gift. And there's a little song that they sing called When Christmas Comes to Town. And it's a duet between this little boy who's named Billy and the little girl who, I'm not sure she has a name in the film, but he, of course, is the one who has nothing. She's the little girl who seems to have everything. And Billy says, I'm wishing on a star and trying to believe that even though it's far, he'll find me Christmas Eve. I guess that Santa's busy because he's never come around. I think of him when Christmas comes to town. And the little girl, and this is the part I think that really makes my blood boil when I see the film, is her response to this is so unsympathetic and uncompassionate. And it is all in this myopic universe of her own where she is thinking of things as she sees them. And she says, the best time of the year when everyone comes home, with all this Christmas cheer, it's hard to be alone. Putting up the Christmas tree with friends who come around, it's so much fun when Christmas comes to town. Then she starts the next verse off and she says, "Presents for the children, wrapped in red and green." And Billy responds with his line, which is, "All the things I've heard about but never really seen."
Huh.
And this to me is, I find that line from Billy very impactful.
Right.
I mean, the kid is saying, these things you're describing about your experience with this holiday and all these great things and these presents and all, no, this is not my world. This is not the world I inhabit. This is not my experience. I've never seen anything like this in my short time on the planet.
Billy's kind of bitter about this, right?
He's not, and that's the thing. I mean, Billy's not bitter, he's skeptical.
Okay.
Because, I mean, you hear at the beginning where he's saying he wants Santa to come. He wants Santa to be real. And, you know, he does think about Santa.
That does sound kind of bitter. He's like, I'm missing out.
If you see the film, the kid is very, I would call him skeptical. I wouldn't call him bitter. He's probably as unbitter as, I mean, when I watch it, I think to myself, the kid needs to be more angry.
Yeah.
I would be more angry.
And I mean, let's not forget that there's all the Jewish kids in the world who, like Billy, are not believers, and maybe that's...
Is that why you're an atheist?
But the thing is, I'm not bitter about not having a Santa Claus, because that is just not something that was of interest to my childhood. It's like, oh, everybody else is going to malls and stuff and seeing this Santa. And so it's like, but here in this Polar Express universe, you've got a Santa who is apparently hiding himself from non-believers.
Right. Well, here he has
Why
the train.
would you do that?
He has the train that's going to give them all the evidence, right? The train is taking them, but they have to choose to board the train, right? You have to make the choice to get on the train or not. And if you don't get on the train, then you just don't get on the train. But so they get on the train, and sure enough, they go up to Santa's magical kingdom. But I just want to make it clear. Billy is tentative. It's like he wants to believe, but he's very like, I just can't.
Right.
He's not.
Like,
he really
don't
isn't
believe
angry.
in stuff without good reasons.
He rarely brings up the fact that Santa doesn't ever come to my house, except to say that's why he doesn't believe. He's not like fist shaking.
Does he have any idea what he's doing on that train?
Well, he was very hesitant to get on the train.
I would imagine.
The train started to take off.
Oh, hey, look, strange train here for no reason.
And when it started to take off, the little boy started to run after it. And so the other little kids kind of helped him get on the train. They stopped the train and got him on it. And like I say, he was in the back of the train. And, it was horrible. Last stop, back of the train, never got anything in his life, then has to listen to this little girl rub it in. I get everything. I get all the presents, and everything's warm and wonderful in my house, the best food and beautiful trees and decorations. How can you miss this? And the kid is like, because I don't have any of that. So anyway, and in the end, they get to see magical Santa land, and then Billy gets to believe, and he goes home, and there's presents from Santa under his tree finally, after all these years of being completely overlooked by Santa, and no explanation of why all those years Santa didn't come, and what happened to like the years between 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, however old Billy is. Santa's just suddenly the slate is clean, and Santa's a good guy, and Billy got presents, so it's all cool.
But Billy cheated. Like, there's lots of other kids in the world. There's lots of other Billies, I'm very sure, who are in the same boat with him, who aren't getting presents, who are withholding their judgment appropriately.
Right.
And Billy now gets to believe, and he gets the big Christmas payola because he happened to be the lucky one who's on that train and gets to see for himself. So now he can't doubt. Like, this is the same problem I've always...
Right, but he could still be angry. I mean, that's the thing that gets me. It's like, I see this, and it's like, you understand, Billy, that you have every right in that position to ask Santa what the hell happened to these first several years of my life when I was not a bad child. There's no indication Billy was on the naughty list.
Doesn't even bring it up. Okay.
No. I mean, he does. Wow. Santa is never called on the carpet for his neglect. And I just, the little girl is, in my opinion, just obnoxiously privileged. She does not see the way that, and when you talk about cheating, I look at it like Santa cheated. Santa gives this girl gifts every year, and she doesn't even need it. Her family can afford it.
So of course she believes.
Yeah, she already has every advantage, and now you're throwing presents at her, and You know, and then Billy, he has nothing, and you just ignore him every year, and then you hammer him for not believing.
Right.
And then you're like, you need to believe, or you're not going to get anything. It's like, well,
this is,
ready.
you know, this is the same problem I've always had with the story of doubting Thomas, because, you know, Thomas is like, well, I don't think Jesus could come back from the dead, and then Jesus shows up, and he's like, here I am, check it out, and then he says, wait, I hope I can pull this, yeah, I got it, John 20:29, I am so good. Thomas said to him, my Lord and my God. And then Jesus told him, because you have seen me, you have believed. Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed. So it's like written into the story that, oh, sure, Thomas got the easy way, so because he got to see the evidence.
Yeah.
But now you guys who are reading the story and haven't seen any of this happen, why don't you just go ahead and believe the entirety of this story?
Because look what I did for Thomas.
Yeah.
Believe
who
me.
you don't know about either.
But yeah, and also in this particular story, I see like little strains of Job. Like that idea that don't question, just believe no matter how much crap you're having to face.
Although,
you just
I mean,
believe.
Billy's not Job, because Job is
Well,
like,
no.
you know, the righteous God follower from the
Right,
beginning.
Job was a believer, but I guess my point with the way that I see strains of Job in him is that the idea that when he questions, the answer
Right.
is just, hey, you just believe, you're getting gifts this year, what do you know, that's all
Yeah.
you need to know. And it's like, well, no, that's not all you need to know. If the film is going to raise the question, I mean, they didn't have to include a character like Billy. There was not a requirement to put this child in the film. So they put this child in the film.
Because he's not central to the plot
Right.
much.
So they raised the question themselves about why didn't Santa give this child anything for all these years? And this child clearly needed this. More than the other children who got things. And so the movie itself introduces that question, and they're promoting this belief, and they're promoting Santa as a good guy. And so I feel like if you've got that agenda going on, and you raise the problem of evil in your own script, you have an obligation then to answer that question. And what you did was not answer it. You just simply said, and then once the child believed, he got gifts. Well, that didn't really answer what happened all those years before, and how does Santa justify that? Because he does have to justify that.
Right.
You don't just get to be a jerk for several years and just say, oh, yeah, just ignore that. I don't know.
Okay. Those are some really good points. I have seen the movie, but not in a long time, and you're not making me want to see it.
I probably shouldn't watch it. But yeah.
All right, so you ready for callers?
I sure am.
We're going to talk to Faith in Florida. Hello,
Hello?
Faith? Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, I'm down here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. How's the weather down there? Because it's really cold over here.
Oh, it's just beautiful. We're in Central
Well, good for
Florida,
you.
and the nice thing is we moved from Chicago, and up in Chicago, the skies are gray up in the north like that. Whereas down here, it's almost always sunny and blue skies and sun is shining.
All right. Well, lucky you.
Yeah, I know.
What's up today?
Yeah, I've been dialoguing with a dear friend of mine for over a year now. He's a atheist. He was raised a very strong Catholic, and I'm a very strong Catholic, getting stronger as I get older. I have a real problem with how atheists deal with miracles, things which absolutely the Catholic Church has. For instance, there are hundreds of ones that they have.
Okay, like what miracles?
There is the one of the host that was taken and it was bleeding. There just on and on. Even all the miracles in the Bible.
Well,
too, you know. Like
see, I mean, the reason I'm asking you for specific ones is that because when you say in the abstract there are hundreds and hundreds of miracles, you know, that's all very interesting that, you know, the Catholic Church, which has a vested interest in making people believe in miracles, has decided that these miracles are genuine. But, I mean, I think, don't you think, Tracy, it's a lot more interesting to delve into individual miracles and see what's going on?
Such as Fatima, yeah.
Yeah, because you can't really say, how do you account for miracles in general without identifying some in particular and being certain that they're really miracles?
Yeah, But okay, why don't we just assume that there are things that are absolutely non-explainable?
Why would we?
No, I mean, if you start with if you have hundreds of samples, and maybe you'll cast out one or here or there that you can figure out.
Well, do you believe in Muslim miracles?
In what?
In Muslim miracles, do you believe that the Prophet Muhammad was alleged to have done a lot of amazing? So you believe in Islam?
I believe that God can create miracles, and it doesn't have to necessarily be in Christian or Jewish settings.
Okay, I mean we don't start with that assumption. So I mean, you're gonna bypass that and say, well, some of these miracles definitely have to be true, and I'm not because
we would have to see the one that's true.
Okay, well, I'd have to get you get some good research on that, because I went to see a display of about 250 miracles that from the thousands from all the ones from the Catholic Church, from the Vatican.
Okay,
and,
well, the display itself certainly wasn't a miracle,
well, I mean,
right?
Here, my point would be, though, when you do look it up, be sure to look up the rebuttals, because there will be rebuttals to all of these. So when you look it up, look up the counter to this, because there will be people saying this fails as a miracle because, and giving an explanation.
Right.
And if someone presents us with that, obviously we're going to have to research it, and that's what we're going to be presenting. So rather than just a back and forth of they said this and the response to it is that.
Yeah, I think that's what needs to be done. Yeah, is to get do it like that too. I think that's a good point.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that you wanted to tell us that there were hundreds of miracles, but didn't have a single one ready. I think what would be great would be.
She's describing one.
There were ones where the host became actual heart muscle and things like that. So it's really there are a lot of them. I just don't have the. I was just talking in general terms. I didn't have the.
Well, like, how was that verified? Were they sent in for a DNA sample or something?
They were tested to find that they actually were heart muscle.
By whom?
So, I don't have that at my fingertips right now.
Yeah, we could move on to another topic. It would be good if you would call back another week with some details.
Yeah, I can't. This is the only time I could call. I got a substitute for work. But anyway, I wanted to ask you too, how do you account for the sudden appearance of matter 13.7 billion years ago?
That is not what the science says.
Oh, what does the science say? That's what I heard. The Big Bang was 13.7 billion. Isn't that the number?
No,
what's
it's
the number? I don't know.
13.7 billion years ago. But I think you haven't quite read up enough on what the Big Bang actually says. Do you want to put in anything, or should I keep going?
Well, I mean, my rudimentary understanding of it, actually, this is a physics question and should be posed to physicists, not atheists.
Right.
But that being said, my rudimentary understanding is that there's very little that can be said about what happened prior to the Big Bang. So the idea that matter suddenly appeared, I don't know would correctly frame it. I, again, would be happy to ask a physicist, but I think the prior to the Big Bang, I don't know that there's too much that can be said, and to say that matter just suddenly appeared, I don't know is quite an accurate summation.
The theory of the Big Bang starts with all the matter in the universe being condensed into basically a nearly infinitely small dense point. I mean, I say nearly because although the physics is really solid about what happens back to that 13.7 billion years ago, like within a tiny, tiny fraction of a second before that happened, physics is so fundamentally different under those conditions that it's difficult to say what happened before. It could have been.
I feel a little weird answering this, though, because this is a question. If somebody wants to know what physicists have to say about how the universe came to exist in this current form, that should be posed to a physicist. I don't know why that would be posed to an atheist. I mean, it's not an atheist theory.
No, because my feeling is that the beauty of how the universe was set up, the laws of gravity that were, if it had been a tiny bit the other one way or the other, we would have had smashed together or not have anything. You know,
could it be any other way?
It just seems to me that it just makes common sense that the universe that the always existing mind that was there that created the universe.
The problem, though, is that now we have to demonstrate there's an all-existing mind. Otherwise, we can't proceed with what it created or how it created it or what it did. And so,
well, I mean, I'll accept that he created matter and then evolution.
Well,
went on. That's not the problem.
No. The problem is that in order to say that this intelligent mind is doing things, we have to demonstrate it exists, because things that don't exist don't cause other things. So but you're ignoring the fact that he revealed himself some 6,000 years ago, started revealing himself over thousands of years to the Jewish people. I don't believe that that's true. I think that
Why don't you believe that?
Because they're stories. There's no evidence to support it. It's just stories. There's a lot of mythologies all around the world. I don't believe they're all true. Why would I?
No, but the thing is that that this was over thousands of years that he revealed himself.
Sure, and before that there were a bunch of Greek gods coming down. Before that there were, excuse me, hey, no, I'm putting you on hold if you can't stop. Before that,
oh, she's having trouble
hearing. I can't hear you.
Sorry. Before that, there were a bunch of Greek gods walking around who came down from Mount Olympus, but you don't believe any of that, right? I mean, there are a lot of stories about those Greek gods.
Yeah, I mean, Greek mythology didn't just exist for like a week.
Yeah.
You know, it was around for a while, and so
I taught Greek mythology. Okay. I know it.
Okay, but you don't believe any of it.
Do you believe the gods
fought?
But
I think that right from the beginning, people sensed that there was something beyond them, because the heavens alone let us know that there was a God.
People's feelings are not evidence. The way people feel is not evidence. I might feel my husband is totally faithful and he could be completely cheating on me. My feelings are not evidence.
Why do you always make that your
example?
Because
it's a very easy one for people to understand.
You're very suspicious, Tracy. No, Tracy's husband is a great guy, by the way. I met him.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. He seems like a nice person. I've listened to your shows. Normally, I'm playing the organ at Mass at this time, and so this is the only time I really had a sub.
So how people feel really isn't evidence. It's just how people feel, and feelings can be incorrect.
No, but I'm saying that all of these mythologies point to the fact that people have always felt there was something beyond them.
The people that made the mythologies and the people that adhered to the mythologies, but those that didn't. I mean, this is, the feelings are not necessarily, first of all, feelings are not necessarily correct, but second of all, what we think is causing those feelings is not necessarily what we think is causing those feelings. And again, if we're going to say X is causing these feelings, that there really is something and that's what causes these feelings, we now have to demonstrate that what we think is the cause actually exists. Otherwise, it cannot be the cause.
Yeah.
So to make a reasonable assertion that God is causing these feelings, we have to demonstrate there is an existent God. So it's sort of begging the question to say we have these feelings because of God and that's proof of God. It's like, well, but we still have to prove there's a God. Otherwise, that's not what's causing these feelings.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you discount all the Jewish history.
I don't discount all their history. Yeah, Russell was raised Jewish, but I don't. Yeah. I'm simply saying that I don't believe mythologies as reality.
Yeah, and I don't like you to call it mythology.
There is,
but it is a mythology. I mean, there's no evidence that it's not a mythology. It's one of many. There are all of these stories about gods. There's mythologies from the Nordic peoples. There's mythologies from Australian natives. There's mythologies, and this is all their. They all have creation stories. They all have. These similar sorts of tales about, how do we count for things and how do we, tell the way things are. Paul Bunyan dragged his axe and made the Grand Canyon. I mean, you're always going to have these hero and God stories.
Yeah. And you don't buy the idea of there being a spirit, a mind that always existed, that created.
I need some evidence for that.
Yeah, there's no evidence for that.
I don't see how you account for it. That's the thing. If there isn't a mind that created matter.
Well,
we don't know that a mind could create matter. We would have to find the mind, examine the mind, and see if it then could create the matter.
the thing is that we know
We don't
about minds through our experience with other minds, which by all accounts and by the things we can see, minds are the end result of something that exists in a matter medium, our brains, and are the end result of a long process of evolution. We don't actually have direct experience with something which is some kind of spiritual, ethereal mind. So, I mean,
Well, the
to
most
say
real thing
to say
about a
that the
person is their
universe
spirit.
to say that the universe, which is plenty complicated, had to be created by a prior existing mind, which, as far as we know, only comes from universes and not the other way around, is kind of a backwards way to go about solving the problem.
To say that there was a spirit, I mean, because most of matter is air anyway. So it's
Yeah,
interesting.
air
that,
doesn't create universes.
No, but the most real thing about a person, I think, is their personality and their spirit.
I don't know what a
And
spirit is. Can you explain what a spirit is?
It's the personality, all that kind of thing.
A personality?
Which comes from a mind, which resides
Yeah, I mean,
in the
you
brain.
understand that if your brain gets damaged, your personality can change, right? So does
But you're getting mixed up in the same way as we can't understand how a bat operates because we're not bats, we're people, and we can't
But we
understand.
do
do
understand
understand
how bats operate.
You can't really understand how they use.
Are you
how they
asking
use
what it is
radar.
like to be a bat?
well, we use
That's
our
what I mean.
we
You-
do
Okay.
use radar. We have recreated radar and sonar. I mean, we do understand it. We can actually manufacture
But
it and use it.
you never experienced being a bat. In the
What
same
does
way.
that matter? The
I
bat
never-
doesn't experience being me. I don't
No,
experience
because
being
you're
an
talking
iPad.
a lot of the things you're talking about God are really you're just talking from the human standpoint because you don't know.
Well,
what it
neither
is
do
to
you.
God.
You don't
I
know
know.
either.
I know, but someday I hope to.
But you're claiming. I mean, you're the one making the claim here, and so if we're both saying we don't know, I'm asking you. Then why are you claiming this? I mean, I don't understand how. When someone says to me, "You don't know," and I'm like, "Well, I don't see how you know either." But you're the one making the claim. Hello? Did we lose
Hello?
the caller?
Are you still there? Oh.
I think we lost that call, which is unfortunate.
Yeah,
it wasn't a bad call.
Could have stuck
Well,
around
I
with Faith for a
apologize
long
that the
time.
call seems.
Faith, call back next week. Bring us your favorite miracle, and we'll talk about that. Really. Derek in Michigan.
Hi guys, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I wanted to talk to you guys about your opinion of nihilism. Do you think it's a reasonable worldview to have?
You're a nihilist? Click. No, sorry.
I really don't know. I actually just
kidding.
discovered it a little while ago, and it seems, I guess by definition, as an atheist, it seems like that would be a reasonable way to feel about.
How is he defining it?
Again? What's wrong
No,
with our
wait.
phones?
Is it Derek? Yeah. Are
Yeah.
you still there, Derek?
Oh, we lost him.
Okay. I don't know what's going
See,
on.
I don't want to. I mean, my next question would be, what specifically does he mean by nihilism, and
I
what
agree.
makes sense about it? Because I mean, there's lots of, that nihilism is basically, in the broad sense, believing in nothing, and I don't, and I don't consider myself a nihilist, but in order to discuss it with him, I'd have to know what it is about nihilism that he finds compelling, and we could discuss
and I
those
do. I
points.
mean, I can just say briefly that I feel like there are certain platforms that are foundational that are kind of. So, for example, you do have the subjective experience of making decisions about what you value, but at the same time, you have biological inputs that you can't really escape. Like I get hungry. And that's just a biological reality of what it means to be a biological thing that needs to eat. So even though I have subjective control over values and priorities to some degree, there's going to be these inputs that are beyond me, that transcend my subjective capacity to just will. So if I have to go to the bathroom, I have to go to the bathroom. And it doesn't really matter if I don't put a priority on going to the bed. The more my body says I have to go to the bathroom, the higher that priority is going to become, whether I would like it or not.
Right. Now,
So,
I think a nihilist would say that, you know, you may perceive being hungry or having to go to the bathroom, but it is all an illusion that is constructed because your body or anything doesn't exist, and even your act of eating or going to the bathroom doesn't really happen when you think it does.
Are you sure that's not solipsism?
I mean,
I'm thinking nihilism is about the idea of where do you get these standards, and does it all have meaning? Like, what is the meaning and how is that applied? And so I look at that as like the subjective meaning. You do have subjective meaning, and if you're saying, is there any objective meaning or objective priorities or values, I do think that values are a combination of your subjective self, and also there are inputs that you just can't escape.
Right. Well,
and if that didn't answer you, I apologize. The phone dropped, and we're sorry.
I would have liked to discuss it more, but one of these days we're going to have to get a call where the phone doesn't drop. So
right, let's hope.
Richard in Virginia.
Hi, yes, how are you?
Hello.
Good, how are you?
Very, 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 very good. So I don't want to waste any time for you guys on the show. I'm the CEO of a tech startup here in Richmond. I'm still used to saying startup, but in the last 5 months, we've grown from 10 employees to almost 500 through aggressive hiring, acquisitions, to name a few.
Congratulations.
So, yeah, thank you so much. So here's my problem and subsequently my question. I'm a staunch atheist, and when we were small, there was no problem or urgency to propose my life view to others. As in, I've always been able to create a clear divide between the religious life or anything else of my employees and myself between that of the business. And now that we've gone through such significant growth and are continuing to do so, it's becoming an ever greater problem to keep that separate. Especially since, just to give you a great example, through my beliefs, we only donate to secular organizations or secular campaigns. As in, we will not donate to a campaign that has a specific message that they use our money that we give them to promote.
Well, your choice of what to donate under the company name is not decided democratically, right? You can just say, we're donating to these guys.
Well, let me just say, my company has, the company that I work for has a matching charitable fund, okay? And so what happens is if I donate to certain charities, they will match those donations up to a certain point. That company does have restrictions on what type of charities they will match, and one of those restrictions is they will not match religious charities. So anybody that has like a religious affiliation, including, and I would say that would include under the umbrella, like broadly when you're talking legally, I couldn't even do a donation to ACA. They would still consider that as like a religious affiliated group. Salvation
Army.
Right. So anything that has any, they won't match that. If it has a religious agenda, a religious message that is part of their mission, it is not matchable. So
it's great.
You can do that.
Great policy.
Yeah, that way nobody's getting, no one's getting favored, and they're not promoting anything religious. It's just, and there's other things too that they don't match, but that is one of the restrictions that I recall seeing, because I was like, oh, I can't, they won't match an ACA donation.
My current hold, so just going into that policy on matching donations, is that we actually this year matched every donation to any charity, so it could even be the Red Cross, the Salvation Army, as long as the specific project donation is going to.
You know that the Red Cross is religious, actually.
I have no idea.
But it is, right?
Is it?
I wouldn't know. I'd have to look it up.
Oh, well, the fact that it has a cross was a big reason.
Yeah, but no, it's a plus sign. That's a medical symbol. I don't think it's
like the first aid kit thing, but I don't know if they have any religious affiliation or not. I have no clue.
Oh, there we go. So I mean, is there? I guess I was wrong on that end. Well, is there any other kind of recommendation then? I would say more towards the internal democratic process to keep those beliefs separate.
You mean like, I mean, obviously don't call an all-hands meeting and preach the good news about atheism or anything. I mean, anything that you might be tempted to do, just think what it would feel like in your situation if you were an employee and a fundamentalist Christian were proposing to do something equal but opposite. And I think as long as you stay away from that, you should be in good shape.
Yeah.
And
Right,
also,
excellent.
I mean, you might want to check with your lawyer and stuff, assuming you have
Trust
one.
me.
Okay.
We've been doing that big time. Just a really quick thing, too, about your Polar Express story in the beginning. Oh, first off, thank you for that. So if my parents ever did withhold presents, if I didn't believe in a religion, as a child, I think that might have been enough of an incentive to believe. As a child, so if my parents told me when I was a kid that if I didn't believe in Santa Claus, that wouldn't give me presents, that would be enough of an incentive for me to do so.
Right, the coercion would have worked on you.
Oh, easily.
Okay.
Until I could buy my own things.
All right, is that it?
That's it. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks. Good luck with your business.
Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, bye. Elijah in Hollywood.
Hi there.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hey guys, great show. I'm a big fan of it, and I've never called before, so good to be on. I was curious about, are you familiar with this documentary, Fish Out of Water? I saw it on Netflix.
No, I haven't heard of it.
Yeah, Fish Out, it was on Instant Watch. It's a documentary about, basically it's like a gay Christian apologist sort of movie trying to reconcile basically verses in the Bible, saying that the Bible's not really against it all and all this sort of thing. And I'm an atheist, and I'm also very pro-gay, but I just found the documentary kind of sad in a way, because it was just sort of like hitting their head against the wall, trying to reconcile this thing and sort of, you know.
Yeah, I mean, because on the one hand, we would like everybody to be nice and not bigoted to gay people. And on the other hand, it's just sort of like, what are you doing? Because right there in the Bible, it does say that you're an abomination and everything. Although, in some respects, I applaud those Christians who kind of bend over backwards to dismiss those verses and be nice to gay people anyway, even though, they're very much picking and choosing.
Yeah, and it's funny that you were bringing up Polar Express earlier, because it's like a well-intentioned sort of family movie or whatever it is, and this documentary certainly is well-intentioned, but it's it's like almost stupidly dangerous in its ultimate thinking, And I think I was just kind of curious what your take would be on how it sounds like kind of a jerk thing to say you're wrong, to try to find some sort of silver lining or sugarcoat, the faith to live with it yourself. But I guess they never occurred to them the option of chucking out the book altogether and saying, hey man, this book, you're lying to yourself, you're being intellectually dishonest. And this, and it doesn't occur to them. It's not in their sort of...
No, it doesn't occur to them because they believe strongly that a God exists. I mean, and they believe that it is this God that spoke through Jesus. And so when they see something in their Bibles that seems reprehensible, their first thought is, I'm not understanding this correctly. It's not, this is wrong and God is wrong. Now, if they may come up with something saying this is wrong, in that they might say that they don't take the Bible as a literalist would take it, and so they have some flexibility with that. But you have to remember that these people are coming from a standpoint of an inability to shake a belief in God that probably stems, like from the earlier caller, it probably stems from deep-seated feelings. And they probably feel this thing that they can't shake, and they need to find a way to reconcile this, because if they think that this message is from that God and it's saying something that in their opinion is just clearly wrong, the option in their minds, what you're understanding, is they're not going to drop the God. So the option is either to reconcile it by saying, I don't see why I have to hate gays, but I do have to hate them because it says so, or it would be, I don't understand why it says this, and I must not be understanding it correctly, because it would never say to treat people this way or to view people this way for something like being gay. And these people are kind of, I guess, trusting their own judgment here. When it comes to Euthyphro, they're kind of saying, it's my morality, my moral judgment that matters most, and I have to find a way to reconcile this message to my moral judgment, because they feel a certainty that this cannot be correct. And so they're trying to reconcile that. The interesting question to me is, especially with gay marriage, kind of all the states kind of falling like dominoes, will Christianity in the broader sense end up being in 100 years a pro-gay religion?
Yeah, and that would be strange. I mean, that would be marvelous. I would hope 100 years from now it doesn't even exist as a religion. But
yeah, I mean, people can justify anything. There is a Christian swingers site out there for. I'm not kidding about this. There's like
what's the address?
I just Google it. It's probably christianswingers.com or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, I checked it out because I was curious about like what they would write in favor of it, and you know, they go through all these mental gymnastics to say, oh, God really wants us to love each other as much as possible.
There you go.
You know,
Yeah,
but
literally, yeah.
you can, you know, if you're willing to ignore things and minimize things, you can justify all kinds of stuff that you'd be surprised by in the Bible.
And that's kind of the weird thing, too, is it almost seems like in the end since there's so much cherry picking going on.
Right. And I just want to say, by bringing that up, I don't want to make the assumption that, I mean, I don't want to say I'm comparing gay people to promiscuous people. It's just different.
Well, and not all swingers are actually what I call promiscuous.
Yeah,
I mean,
okay.
So, yeah, it's just, but, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I want to just throw sort of a little cautionary note out that this is why I don't get too deep into arguing with the Bible, people about the Bible.
Exactly.
Don't get into that, because it's a quagmire. It means whatever they want it to mean, and you're never going to convince them otherwise. I mean, you might get lucky and convince somebody otherwise at some point and get them to change their view of what the Bible is saying. I actually have a friend who got their fundamentalist friend to convert over to more liberal Christianity and when they started to change their view on evolution. But the reality is, if you start going at somebody from the position of the Bible's not the Word of God because look at these nasty things it says, you're going to probably 9 times out of 10 lose that argument, because they are not going to see anything in there as nasty or wrong or a problem.
And I think the funny thing is like, as atheists, I certainly listened to your show, and myself, like we tend to be literalists, and we just take the book literally at its face value, as it should be, I would think. You know, and a lot of people don't do that. Like you said earlier, the mental gymnastics, you know, they're just trying to figure ways around, and in the end, you're kind of just worshiping yourself. You're just worshiping whatever your preset opinions and your inclinations are. Like
that's the good. That would be the best possible option. You know, of course, like I said before, the worst possible option is that your better inclinations tell you this is not correct, and then you say, but I must be wrong. And then you follow a lot of really ugly things because you're convinced that what that book says is literal and you must accept it. And I've seen that, and I was one of those people.
And there is that, too, is a lot of people, like certainly some friends of mine that are, you know, they say, look, I don't understand the book. I don't really get it. Like, I'm struggling with it, but that's part of the thing. It's what I signed up for. And I always thought, that's silly to me, because if you told me that there was a magical book out there that had the answers to everything, and it was created by the creator of the universe, written by the creator of the universe, I would be stoked, you know? I would dissect that thing all day long and try to understand it fully possible before believing in it, you know, rather than believing before reading.
Right. Okay. Well, thanks for calling. I think we're going to move on to one other caller.
Great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Anyway, maybe I'll check that out. Fish Out of Water on Netflix, huh?
Yeah, try.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Peter, here in Austin, Texas.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you doing, Peter?
Good. So y'all were talking about miracles earlier, and you know what the one about the person who was cured from leprosy in the Bible?
Right.
Sure.
In the story of the Bible, yes.
I know, but that's not just, I know you always reference it, it's just a story, but they actually had a lot of people around there, you know, witnesses to that.
Yeah, there were a lot of people there in the story.
Yeah.
But there's lots of accounts from others that, you know, write about that, documenting
There are other accounts outside the Bible from people who were there and recorded the same story?
Mm-hmm.
Where?
Yeah,
That's interesting.
Can you name one?
I don't know the names off the top of my head. But
Oh, well, maybe you should get them.
Yeah, please find them, because the only accounts...
Because that would be big news to historians,
The only
I think.
extra-biblical accounts I'm aware of that recount Bible stories are from people who lived later.
Right,
that
like
are
100 years later.
So you get these, Josephus, and it's like, yes, Josephus is recounting tales. He's recounting, I mean, even what he recounts is pretty sparse, but what he does say, he's saying he's heard people say this, and I know nobody disputes their stories. I mean, we believe there are stories. Just like the Olympian gods were said to have come down and fight at the battle, in the Trojan War, but I don't think that all the soldiers in the Trojan War saw the gods come down from Olympus and fight, just because it's recorded in a book that they did.
Mm-hmm. Well, they actually revealed the person's name, which ended up being Harry Platypus.
Is this guy a troll?
Yeah, he sounded like a troll to begin with. I didn't
off.
like the accent. I thought it was a little bit weird on the...
Yeah.
But...
You know, we get plenty of Christian callers who have sincere beliefs and are worth talking to, that we don't need you filling in and acting like an idiot, pretending to be a Christian so that you can make Christians look bad. That's just not what we do here.
They think the purpose of the show is to show off in front of their friends.
Right.
By getting on the air.
Yeah.
Thanks for nothing.
That's too bad. Sean in Louisiana.
Hi, Russell.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Well, kind of good, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah. I know we've talked a couple of times on Google a few times, and you. I just want to thank you.
Oh, right.
And,
okay, I know you.
Yes. We've talked a couple of times. You've helped me out of a lot of.
You were in the military, right?
Yes, I was. I was actually the president of the Military Association for Atheists and Freethinkers at
That is
Louisiana.
awesome. Thanks for doing that.
Yes, now I'm the ex-president, so I'm not, because I'm no longer in active duty anymore, so.
What's that banging noise?
Oh, I'm sorry. It must be, I'm actually on the road right now. I'm actually still driving. Yeah, can you still hear me?
Yeah,
I
so
can hear you.
what's the call?
Okay,
What's going on?
I did a lot of research into different people's stories about coming out as an atheist to your parents, and I know I asked you before, Russell, and I know I've heard many people call the show and say, well, how do I do this? How do I come out to my parents? What's a good path to take? What's a good way to spark that kind of conversation with your parents? And it was really hard for me to find. I've seen stories and I've heard stories of other people. Horror stories where they get kicked out of their house, or their parents are cool with it. I've heard both sides. Yeah, and so I initially this morning going out to a job site because I work for a communications department here at home and now. But my mom asked me, well, do you have time to go to church? And she always asked me this every Sunday. I was raised Catholic, by the way, so she always asked me this because she never knew that I was an atheist now. So I sat down with her and I was like, look, I no longer believe that, the God claim anymore. And I tried to explain it to her, word for word, and tried to even put it to a philosophical point. And and at the end, I asked her, do you still love me? That was the biggest thing for me. I wanted to know, do you still love me? Do you still care about me? Will you still accept me as your son, knowing that I no longer... And this is going to come off weird, I guess. I don't know.
Okay.
At first, the look on her face was of horror. She couldn't believe the words that were coming out of my mouth, to quote a movie, I guess. She was confused, I guess, at first, and then after a while she said, I can't talk to you, I can't look at you right now, and then she asked me to leave the house, unfortunately. She asked me, get as much stuff as I could and leave the house.
Permanently.
And many more words, and it's probably the first time I've heard my mother curse in about 10 years.
Wow.
Not curse.
Sorry about that. Did you So you lived there with her?
Well, I wasn't able to acquire housing for myself yet because I was out of the job. Obviously, I just got out of the military, and so they were the only really people at the moment. So being parents that they are, but then find my own place. Anyway, so I was on the road earlier. Eventually she called back. She told me on my phone when I was on the road. And she said, look, you know, you still have a place to stay. You know, we don't have to talk about it. We don't have to acknowledge it. I think you know, God has a special place for you.
Sean, you're breaking up an awful lot.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. This is a really bad reception area. I'm really sorry.
I think it's getting better, but if you could pull over somewhere good, that would be probably safer for you also.
Yeah, but yeah, she basically just said, you know, you're still welcome to live with us. You know, I still love you. You're still my son, even though we have, you know, contradicting points. And she said we don't have to ever talk about it ever again, basically. Like, we never have to acknowledge it ever again, which kind of made me sad, like, in a way. But then again, you know, at least I still have a place to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at least she knows what's going on, so maybe you won't get the do you have time to go to church today question anymore.
Yeah, that was the one perk. I was like, well, maybe now she'll never ask me to go to church again, but...
Or maybe she'll ask you to go more.
Maybe she'll ask me to go more. That's another thing, and that was the biggest thing I wanted to point out, that if you do decide to come out to your parents, you need to be prepared for the worst.
Right.
Absolutely. I always tell people that.
And it sounds like
you need to be prepared for that.
It sounds like you got the worst at first, and then they dialed it back, which I think...
Are you...
What?
He didn't hear you.
I said it sounds like you got the worst at first, and then they pulled it back a little bit, which is good. It's a relief. That doesn't always happen, so you're lucky.
I think it was more along the lines like she expected me to say no, because that's pretty much what I've been saying. Like, oh, I'm busy. Like, I always made like silly excuses, like, oh, I'm going hang out with my friends today, or I have emails to write, or something, you know, really like silly that doesn't take very long. But you know, it wasn't a matter of that. It was more of a matter of she just could not believe that I was saying these things to her. And
no, I understand.
Well, yeah, good luck to you, man. Thanks for sharing your story.
Yeah. Also, like I said before, I'll plug the if anybody's in the military that is listening or not in the military that is interested in Atheist and Freethinkers, they're an amazing support group.
Yeah,
great guys.
MAAF, right? Military Alliance of Atheists and Freethinkers?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, military guys, check that out. But we are out of time. Thanks for calling, Sean.
Oh, no problem, Russ. Keep up the good work, guys.
Yeah. See ya. Bye. Thanks for the show, Tracy.
Yeah, it was great.
Bye, everyone. See you at Thread Gills.